So now we're going to move on to our next section of the show called Franchise Spotlight. Well, what is that? Well, every week Ryan and I like to break down a movie franchise, movie by movie, and give our overall thoughts and opinions and grades about each entry individually. Now, normally we can do an entire franchise, but if it's over 5 movies, we decide to kind of split them up. And this time, we've tackled the Harry Potter franchise. We probably won't do Fantastic Beasts, we're still deciding on that, but we're going to go the first 3, the next 3, and then the last 2. So, here is our breakdown of the first 3 Harry Potter films. Ryan, I'll let you take this away first.
Yeah, so the first one, Philosopher's Stone.
Sorcerer's Stone. And it's Philosopher in the UK and then Sorcerer in America. Because they mean different things. And yeah.
Words.
It's a whole bag of worms. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Sorcerer's Stone. I watched it for the first time all the way through in the past few days. I will say it's not really my thing, you know. But I can take some massive positive takeaways from this. Some
Do tell.
Absolute pure magic that happens.
Pun intended.
Yeah, it truly was. For example, when Harry gets the wand that works for him, because they try out multiple wands, and then he gets the one that connects with him, and like he has that magical glow behind him. The score comes in.
John Williams.
Okay, John Williams. The score throughout the whole movie is definitely the biggest positive. And then seeing Hogwarts for the first time, because you have an aerial view of boats, and then it pans up and you see all the boats and all the lanterns as you go up to Hogwarts. And just that is so magical. Just even, being 23 years old and watching this movie that is geared more towards kids and that demographic. But it's magical. A lot of the things didn't age well, like the CG, the green screen. During the Quidditch, they used a lot of animations for the people instead of superimposing them or just using them on a green screen, which didn't age well. Quidditch, I think, is stupid, but I know that it becomes bigger as the movies go on. But like Harry Potter is supposed to go after the snitch, but in the first movie he's just kind of like sitting around for 5 minutes before he even like attempts to go after the golden snitch, which I understand he's young and it's his first Quidditch game and he may be nervous or whatever, but it's just maybe do something, help the team, But ultimately I enjoyed it for the magical moments, but for the rest of the movie it just felt kind of dull for me. What about you?
I like the movie a little bit more than you do.
Okay.
However, I do agree that with the first couple entries in the franchise, it's more geared towards children. And a scene in particular that I think of to point that out is when him and Malfoy are like fucking with each other on the brooms, and then he actually catches something and brings it back and is holding it, and all the kids are cheering. I'm just like, okay, that's kind of childish. But it does excellent world building in this movie. You can tell that they're laying the groundwork for something great. And that's something that the books did, and that's something I think that the first movie, does great as well. I love the performances of each kid, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, I believe is his name. I think that, building the dynamic between, Ron, Harry, and Hermione, and the antagonism of Draco Malfoy, and, you get Alan Rickman as Snape, great performance. You get a lot of interesting set pieces. I love the giant chess board. I thought that was really cool.
You liked that?
I did. It's silly and it's for kids, but I love it.
I liked the design of it, but they spent so much time on the game itself. I was like, man, they really should just cut this out or like just cut to the end, because that scene did not work for me at all. I found that actually as a big negative.
Yeah. I also saw it when I was...
Right, so you have a better connection to it than I do.
Exactly, but growing up and rewatching it, you do kind of see like, oh, okay, the franchise evolves from here, and they do the smart thing of like, right, we're gonna pick a demographic and then we're gonna make the movie for that demographic all the way through to the end, and which was a good idea. But overall, I think that the film is. I love Hagrid so much. The performance is great, and just everything about that character. And I like the overall backstory with Harry Potter and, living under the steps of the, aunt and uncle's house, the very, very hero's journey with him. And they...
What the hell? Why does that happen from time to time?
I don't know, but it's wizards and witches this time.
No kidding.
No, but you also get the hero's journey with him, both in this movie, and you can tell it's going to be planted for later on. And also the actual like effects with the wands, I think, is pretty cool, and those increase over the franchise. But I like the film. But I do think that I do agree with you a little bit in that it's mostly aimed towards kids, and that, you know, you'll see as you watch them if the franchise does get better. But let's go ahead and move on to the second film, which I actually think is weaker than the first film, but a lot of the people I talk to like it more. What are your overall thoughts?
Wow, I actually think it's weaker than the first movie as well.
Okay.
Again, I think it's still childish, but again, they came out, I think, a year apart. Yeah, so it's not like they're going to be aging much, because I know from the second to the third one, there's a bigger age jump. But it still feels childish. It's still laying out the groundwork, because that's something that I've seen with like franchises, or even like most famously, let's take DC. They know that they're going to make a franchise. They know they're going to make a world, and somehow screw the pooch. But Harry Potter, they knew that they were going to be making multiple films, so they didn't spend too much on everything else. They wanted to focus on one thing, and they drop a little bit about Harry's backstory in every movie, it feels like, which is great, because like then it's like, okay, what the whole goes deeper than what I initially thought, because in one movie you're told one thing, and then in the second movie they'll build off that one thing, be like, no, it's not actually like that, it's a little bit different than what you think. And I think that Harry Potter does that fantastic.
It's kind of like Darth Vader killed your father. Sort of. He's actually, it's kind of like that.
It's exactly like that. And I think that they do that fantastically, and I can't wait to watch the whole, because I haven't seen.
Oh, you get some tea. My
which
guy.
I'm excited about, because to all the people out there who are watching this, I haven't seen the whole franchise all the way through before.
He's only seen the first three.
Yeah. Well, right now, yes, I've only seen the first three. However, I've seen like maybe clips, but I couldn't tell you anything from the clips because it didn't mean anything to me at the time. But I'm very excited to see how the story unravels and see where the story goes, because just from what I've seen, just from the first three movies, like I said, Harry Potter's story, it's like, this is what happened. Well, not quite. This is actually what happened. So like, I have no idea what's going to happen with him, but the second movie builds off the first movie good in that aspect, but as a movie as a whole, I think is weaker than the first one.
I agree with that statement, but I also agree that it does build certain key story and world building elements better. Ginny Weasley gets introduced in the movie, and you know, I think that she's an interesting character. You know, Ron, you get more of Ron's family, you get more of introduced to that world. You get a lot more comedic bits in the film, which I think work good for the most part. You get more of a focus on, you know, Tom Riddle and Voldemort, and you know who that is, even though, you know, anagrams, what? But snakes are creepy, right? And as a kid, it was scary. When he stabs the fucking thing through the mouth, thought that was awesome. You know, Moaning Myrtle is annoying.
Annoying as hell. Oh my god. No wonder why nobody fucking liked you.
Exactly.
Just complaining all the time.
Yeah. I thought that people getting petrified, especially as a kid, was really scary, and I didn't know what petrified meant. So when I was like really little and they said they've been petrified, I was like, that's a big fucking word. That means something bad's going on. But yeah, I think the movie does do some things well, but I think overall it didn't have that first time being introduced to this world glaze over it, and they didn't do enough with the expansion of the story to quite be as good as the first movie. But I don't think it's a bad movie either. I'm really excited to go ahead and just get in on this third movie, though.
Yeah, go ahead, take it right off the top.
So this third movie is great. Like, I think it is great. It's excellent. It's directed by Alfonso Cuarón. So they took the first two movies made by Chris Columbus, you know, Home Alone, you know, nice little tone and touch to it. Then they got Alfonso Cuarón, who, you know, would go on to make movies like Roma, Gravity, and made movies like Children of Men, you know, one of the greatest living directors today. They were like, here's Harry Potter. And he was like, oh, here's a great fucking movie. And it was so well done. Gary Oldman as Sirius Black, great performance. And the actor's name is leaving me, but Professor Lupin, the Wolfie boy, thought he did excellent. That whole sequence where they're doing the fears and just the storytelling with that.
Which is fantastic.
So well done. The Dementors are fucking scary as hell.
And we get a new Dumbledore.
We get a new Dumbledore because unfortunately the original actor passed away. However, I do like Michael Gambon better in the role. I thought that immediately his chemistry with the other characters and his own personality kind of shined out a little bit more. And like you said, with building Harry's backstory, Harry kind of believed one thing growing up about Sirius Black and then finds out a completely different thing. I love the Moroder's map, and you see people and it's used as a tool for suspense as well. such a great tool. I think that this was a huge step up for the franchise. I liked the other 2 movies, but this was the movie that kind of stamped it as like a boom. We're here and we're not fucking going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fantastic movie. I also love the dynamic with the actors more. Oh, and fucking time travel. Excellent. I'm a slut for time travel. I love time travel. And this has my favorite type of time travel, Ryan.
What's that?
The kind that you don't fucking explain and you just do it. That's my favorite kind of time travel, and I loved it. Loved it. I thought that Hermione, Emma Watson, was a standout in this movie. I think her performance in this film kind of was even better than Daniel Radcliffe's and Rupert Grint's. Really, really great performance, great movie. I keep saying the same thing about how much I love this movie, but I do.
It's fantastic.
And you get a lot of sad things. You get Hagrid and the Hippogriff. You kind of get that unfortunate thing and his bond with that creature. Tons of great things. And through all 3 of these movies, the set design is stupid. The costume designs are great. By stupid, I mean stupid good. And just, this continues here, and even on a bigger scale, the CGI jumped an improvement with this film. It's still early, but it's better.
Yeah.
And you get just a lot more personal storytelling.
Which I think is a major plus, because he wanted to take advantage of that because of all the world building that was done in the previous 2 installments.
Yes.
That you don't have to focus on magic as much. You can get down to the nitty gritty of the hero's journey, Harry Potter's story and his backstory and his involvement with Sirius Black and how all that unfolds. Like you, I echo everything you just said. I think this movie is fantastic. It's definitely a lot different than the other 2 movies, which I think is only a plus. And
I think that's especially because of the director change up from that to this. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And, you see the actors themselves getting older. Like I said, this is a big age jump from the first to second, from second to third. Like there's a bigger age gap there. I don't know if that made sense, but it made sense in my head. That's all that matters.
In the movie, they're a year older, but in real life, you can tell the actors are growing up.
Correct, yes. Which, it makes sense to take a darker tone to this movie, because when you look at the audience...
They're getting older.
Correct. So you don't want to make like a kid's movie for the same audience. You want to make a movie that, like you said, pick a demographic, them, and we're going to grow up with them, and it works fantastic. I do remember trying to watch this movie as a kid, but like the Dementors scared the shit out of me. Like I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
But upon rewatch, I think it's fantastic. Definitely stands out further than the other 2 do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And
even for the rest of the franchise, this is high up for me, this 3rd movie.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very fascinating. But do you want to give the grades now, or do you want to wait till the whole franchise is done?
No, we can give grades now.
Let's go ahead. Just go from 1 to 3, giving your grade for each, and then after the whole franchise, I guess we'll go ahead and rank them.
We'll rank them when we're completely done.
Yep.
My grades are going to go as such. 1 and 2 both get B pluses. I like 1 more than 2, but they have the same grade. And Harry Potter 3, Prisoner of Azkaban, A fucking plus.
Really?
I love the movie that much.
Wow.
I love Harry Potter.
I'm excited to see how the rest of this franchise goes.
Yes, and you'll get, there are more than 1 A plus in my brackets.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah.
And before you do it really quick, we didn't even mention, obviously, the idea of Azkaban is fucking cool. Of like the prison where they keep all the like really bad like.
And the Dementors are like the prison guards, if you will.
Awesome. Anyway, go ahead and give your grades for the franchise so far. 1 and 2 have the same rank for me, 3 stars out of 5. They're magical. They're cute, I guess, if you want to say that. Yeah.
But the 3rd installment, Prisoner of Azkaban, gets 4 stars.
Yes.
So definitely headed in the right direction. What's next? Goblet of Fire. That is the very next one.
Next, we're going to do Goblet of Fighter.
Fighter.
Goblet of Fire. I did it again. Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince. We're doing those next.
Okay. Wow. Very, very exciting to see how this whole story unfolds, because they're building Voldemort up to be this big bad guy, but I don't know nothing about him.
He'll see soon. Make sure you keep in tune with us on that, and we'll see how his opinion of the franchise grows as it keeps going, and you'll get to hear how I rank him as well. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, I did want to say one last thing.
Yes.
It seems like they're focusing a lot on Gryffindor and Slytherin. I hope they get into more of the other houses, but because like right now they're painting Slytherin as like the bad guys, but Harry's like the direct descendant of the original Slytherin, so it's like what the fuck's happening? Yeah, we'll see. Like you said,
we'll see.
Yeah.
high-pitched voices.
Because the other houses look pretty lame compared to Gryffindor and Slytherin.
My favorite thing
seeing in pop culture, like, everyone's like, oh, I'm Gryffindor, I'm Slytherin, which, like, yeah, you want to be part of the popular one, but, like, what about Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff? Like, I hope they just don't get shafted.
Do you know how many dates I've been on where the girl's like, so what Harry Potter house are you in? And I'm just like, fucking God. Don't get me wrong, I love the movies, but that's just, don't do that on dates. Male or female, it's annoying. I promise you, it's annoying. God, giving out life advice. Oh, last thing about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I love Dumbledore at the end of the movies where he's like, what, Harry blew his nose? 100 points for Gryffindor.
Yeah, right?
So great. I love it. Oh, yeah.